Okay, I'm going to show you a very exciting video here this time. This is a ship that I've shown before. This is the USS Iwo Jima LHD-7. It's a Wasp Class amphibious assault ship. However, as you can see from looking at the front end of this thing, the United States now is building up its inventory specifically of F-35Bs. And that's important to these ships for the following reason. They can carry in a escort carrier mode over 20 of these aircraft. And so what I have done is I have changed the air wing on my USS Iwo Jima to be a escort type carrier. I've got 14 F-35Bs on deck, another 6 in the hangar for 20 aircraft. And believe me, 20 F-35Bs is a powerful strike force. Also, to go along with the Escort Carrier Role, you'll see that I have put a couple of specialized Ospreys on here. That one there is outfitted, and I'll show you it in a minute and closer, in a anti-submarine warfare mode. This one here is outfitted in AEW, an early warning, aircraft early warning mode, with a large Aperture radar on top of it. And that's important because what that means is this carrier does not have to depend on a helicopter to give it its early warning. Now that happens only if we take advantage of what's already been developed, and that's the two different types of Ospreys that have been developed and put on the market by the maker of the aircraft. Now we have 8 of these Wasp Class aircraft and have built 2 of the America Class aircraft, vessels, which are the same, but they don't have the well deck that this one has. They have been developed with a much larger hangar so that they can even carry more F-35Bs. Let me turn on the light here, and we'll take a look at this. This is looking at from the rear. Let's take a look in here. And you can see in there you can get it to focus in back there. I'm not sure I'm going to get the focus come on. You can't see it very well. It's not focusing for me. However, this goes all the way back to the landing deck where the ship has tanks and whatnot that are kitting on these landing craft. But it also has a level above that, which is where it has the hangar deck as well. So we've put more aircraft into this thing than what normally would be the case. Let me turn that light off. What's important here, though, is the fact that this is now a miniature aircraft carrier. It's a 40 to 45,000 ton aircraft carrier, and I will tell you, it has the Chinese worried, and the reason it does is because the Japanese have 2 aircraft carriers that are about this same size. They're called the Izumo class, and they just announced that they were going to add a ski jump up here to this end of the thing, and they're going to carry 20 to 24 F-35Bs on both of those vessels. And what I would like to do is show you how those vessels compare. Now, this is not really the Izumo class that I'm about to set down here. This is the smaller class carrier that they have. The Japanese have what's called the Hyuga class, and I have put some F-35Bs on there. I don't expect we'll ever see the Hyuga class, there's two of them, carrying F-35Bs because they're just a little too short and not quite wide enough. But the Hyuga class is almost as long as the Wasp class, and they definitely will carry. In fact, the Japanese have already announced it. So you're getting two carriers there with the possibility that they'll build two more. You've got the Koreans with the Dokdo class that have announced they will carry F-35Bs. And then you've got the Australians with their two Canberra class that are announcing the same type of deal potentially. Spain is going to use the F-35Bs. Italy is going to use the F-35Bs. Of course, we know that the UK is. The point that I'm making is that with 10 of these LHDs, LHDs/LHAs and more building, and with at least 6, if not more, other countries' LHAs, or CVH would be a better word for it, because they're going to be carriers, you end up with a large enough volume that makes real sense to build this type of aircraft right here. And this type of aircraft makes a huge difference for the Japanese, for the Australians, for the Spanish, the Italians, the Australians, anyone who uses this type of ship for this type of purpose. And make no mistake, the rapid announcement of all these ships carrying F-35Bs is in answer to the Chinese, the People's Republic of China, Communist Chinese, who have built 2 carriers, are building a third, and they're big carriers. They're 65,000 ton, large carriers that can carry up to 50 aircraft. But their aircraft are not 5th generation stealth aircraft. And so a force of 20 5th generation stealth aircraft will play havoc with 48 or 50 4th generation non-stealth aircraft, particularly with the sensor fusion that the F-35 brings along with it. So I wanted to show you these two aircraft up a little closer, because it's pretty phenomenal what you can get with the Osprey, and I think what we should be getting with the Osprey. The biggest threat to any carrier is an undersea threat. The United States used to have what was the S-3 that could carry 4 torpedoes and had a lot more room in it to carry more sonar buoys. An SV-22 outfitted like that is actually better than an S-3, because it can hover very close to the water, have those torpedoes and sonar buoys ready, and in a position to prosecute enemy submarines. So that's what we get with a ASW version of the Osprey. But even more important, the most important aircraft that is said on an aircraft carrier is the E-2D. And let's take a look at the AEW version here. This plane can go fly higher. With its aperture radar, it can see much, much further and discriminate much better than a helicopter that's flying at about 15 to 20,000 feet, maybe 25 at the max. You pressurize this guy and send him up at 30 or 40,000 feet, and you're going to be seeing enemies at a range where you may be able to intercept them before they launch their missiles. And that is very, very important. So I wanted to show you that. Let me put these aircraft back on the carrier over here real quickly. Ultimately, I'll glue these guys down, but while I was making this movie, I wanted to be able to show you those things close up. So here you have the USS Iwo Jima, and remember that every one of the Wasp Class could look just like this anytime we decided to do it. The Japanese, as I said, have two of these types of carriers. They're very modern, that are much larger than the one I'm showing you here and taking off the table right now, that have the ability to carry this many of these aircraft on their flight decks. So this is the Escort Carrier version of the Wasp Class, outfitted to launch a strong strike at sea or close air support for Marines on the ground. We also have the two America class that were specifically set up to carry, be more aircraft centric, and they're going to build more of those. So with 11 large nuclear powered aircraft carriers that will be carrying the F-35C, and at any time we could have 4 to 6 of these escort carriers, and then the new 6 carriers that our allies have announced. All of a sudden, the building of aircraft carriers that Chinese are doing, which they're doing very rapidly, by the way, and amazingly updating their capability by significant leaps, but they cannot keep up with what the United States already has built and what they're able to do with them, and specifically and especially not with the allies of the United States, particularly in the Western Pacific, announcing what they're doing. If you'll notice on this air wing, I've got another Osprey with AEW and another one for ASW, and then I've got a number of Seahawk helicopters that would be used for search and rescue and anti-submarine warfare closer in. But having those long-range anti-submarine warfare aircraft, it would be very, very, very good to have once again, and get back where we were 20 years ago with the S-3s, the Vikings. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Look for my other videos. I've got a video specifically of, it's a 1/700th class, but with 2 of the larger Chinese carriers and their entire escort group, and what they would look like. And we'll be coming out with more in the near future. Thanks a lot. This is Jeff Head. If you get a chance, please sign up for our channel. Thanks. Bye-bye.